creativehealingphilly.com. And if you have a teen who has toxic thoughts or may get stuck in their thoughts in a way that's unhelpful for them, this video is for you. So a lot of times we see teens at our teen support center who tend to get really stuck in their thoughts, or they believe the thoughts that they have about themselves or others as a truth that ultimately leads to behaviors that are designed to either push those thoughts away or to wallow in those thoughts in some way that's unhelpful or keeps them stuck. So let me give you some examples of them. A behavior that's designed to keep thoughts away might be self-harm or using drugs or alcohol, or repressing thoughts by distracting yourself with your phone for 16 hours a day. Behaviors that are designed to help someone or that allow someone to wallow in those thoughts might be laying in bed and thinking about the situation over and over again in a way that's not just feeling your feelings, but actually becomes unhelpful for them. And so what we've learned as therapists is that the truth in this is that it's your relationship with those thoughts that keeps you stuck, not necessarily the thoughts themselves. And here's what this looks like. It wouldn't hurt you if someone were to say to you that you're not smart if you didn't actually believe this about yourself or identify this. So let's say that you're a teen who gets straight A's all the time, and somebody said, you know, passing in the hallway might say to you, like, you're dumb. That may not hurt your feelings because you're not fused with that idea. It doesn't actually, you don't believe that about yourself. There's evidence that you get good grades, you identify with yourself as an intelligent person. So it's not necessarily a comment that would be hurtful for you. And so what this means is that the way that thoughts become impactful in a negative way is when we actually are attached to those thoughts in a way that makes us believe that it's something that defines us as a person. And so when we're in group at the Teen Support Center, we use the dialectical behavior therapy DBT skill of observe without judgment in order to help our teens recognize these thoughts without attaching or fusing to them in a way that makes them hurt or frustrated or discouraged. Because what we really want is for our teens to be able to be aware of the thoughts and feelings that are flowing through them at any given moment without allowing those thoughts or feelings to control their behavior in unhelpful ways. So sometimes a judgment doesn't just look like a judgment as in you're dumb, like I just talked about. Sometimes a judgment can be a rule, like I should always look perfect when I leave the house, or people should always be nice to me. That's a judgment. It's a rule that we create about other people that brings us pain and distress if it's not followed 100% of the time. Another way a judgment can show up is as a reason, judging ourselves by saying, I'm too sensitive to be able to change myself, or I'm just not motivated. That's the way that I am and it's not going to change. So justifying the reasons for why we can't make a change is a judgment as well. And then a third way that we see judgment show up in our lives is with our past and future stories. So using a past example of how something happened, friendships have always ended for me in the past, therefore I'm not the type of person that can keep a friend in my life. So using our past stories to inform how our future will be, that's a way that we're actually using judgment as opposed to observing a situation and describing what it looks like. So one of the ways we observe and describe without judgment is labeling thoughts as just thoughts and not facts. And it's as simple as putting a wedge between the thought and yourself by saying something like, I'm having the thought that I may not make a friend this year. I'm having the thought that I'm going to fail this test today. So it doesn't necessarily take the whole thing away, but it does help you to place that wedge between to create a little bit of space so that you can then recognize the thought as a thought and not an ultimate truth for you. And it takes a lot of practice, but it's something that we reinforce again and again in our groups and in our sessions at the Teen Support Center. Another way that we help with this is helping our teens to learn how to use breathing as an anchor and not a solution. I really want to make that clear that when we say take deep breaths, it's not to make the problem go away. It's not to make us feel happy. It's really to help us anchor ourselves in the moment so that we can make a better decision about how to handle our feelings. So sometimes I'll encourage our teens, I'll say something like, take 10 deep breaths and then make a decision about how you want to respond to a thought or a difficult feeling. It's meant to anchor you into what we call in DBT wise mind, which is the balance between your emotions and your logic, the place where you can make healthy and effective decisions. Because you know, if you're deep into your emotions, it's not the time when you're going to make the best decision. You're hurt and rejected by a friend. Your automatic reaction may be to lash out at them, to say something nasty, to talk behind their back. But what we know is that that creates long-term consequences that are ultimately not what you want to happen. So taking those 10 deep breaths and using your breathing as an anchor is a way to help you find more balance so that you can decide how to respond rather than to react and make the situation worse in some way. Finally, we talk about how to move from avoiding to value-driven choices. And what do I mean by this? So I use the metaphor with my teens. You can run through the forest to run towards someone that you want to see and that you're excited to see, or you can run through the forest to run away from a bear. Either way, you're running, but it's about the reason why you're running that creates those feelings for us. So when we look at the situation of, hey, I need to get straight A's or I want to get straight A's, are you getting those straight A's because you're trying to avoid feelings of inadequacy? So it's a way of coping and avoiding, or are you getting them because education and the next steps in your life are a value to you? Education and hard work and determination are part of your value system. So it's really about figuring out what's important to you and why you're doing something rather than doing something just to escape discomfort or something that doesn't feel good for you. So it's going from the I'm a horrible person to I want to be a good person. So it's deciding to do something because it matters versus doing something just out of a desire to escape or avoid. So if you found these concepts helpful, this is really an overview based on a lot of the work that we do in our groups and individual sessions. I would love to invite you to connect with us. Our summer camp is enrolling now. So it's a week of these groups and activities, art-based, activity-based, game-based, as well as discussions and skills that we'll be having with these teens to help them learn how to be more effective and in control of their thoughts and feelings rather than to let their thoughts and feelings control them and feel like they have to the point where they feel overwhelmed and out of control of their lives. So I will put the contact form below, but you can also reach out to us at creativehealingphilly.com/summer-camp. And again, I'm Katie from Creative Healing, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye.